this is Dan Hoyt at the best game site ever, and lately we've been playing a lot of Guild Wars 2. And while it has some amazing moments where it really does live up to your expectations, it also has some spots where the boredom makes you want to stop playing and go outside. So, we wanted to give you the worst quests in Guild Wars 2, so that when you come across them while exploring the wondrous land of Tyria, you at least feel a little comforted by not being alone in your boredom. Before we start going through the crap that I've been masochistically seeking out for your enjoyment, I wanted to explain something. We're not against doing some silly things in Guild Wars 2, like feeding bunnies. Not every quest has to involve slaying a dragon or battling a prehistoric shark. We understand that. We don't even mind quirky quests, but sometimes they cross the line from quirky and asinine. Here's an example of a quirky quest that we thoroughly enjoyed. South of Lion's Arch in the Bloodtide Coast, there's a heart quest that calls for you to stop poachers. Now you accomplish this by catching frogs, juicing them, and then throwing the concoction on nearly invisible poachers so that they become detected by drakes and are attacked. I love animals, but the idea of juicing frogs to use as a weapon was ridiculously fun. I laughed when I got to see the poachers suddenly surrounded by big, angry lizards. Now I understand that sometimes quests have a few options for completing them. For instance, in Queensdale, you can help farmers by watering their corn, feeding their cows, or fighting invasive worms. While I may not be interested in watering corn or feeding cows, I can fight worms and still make it through the quest without feeling forced to do actual work or doing anything I feel is wasting my time. Now let's begin the awfulness with number 7 on our list of ridiculously stupid. This one made it on the list by simply being such a process. First, you use these weapons to collapse termite mounds in the hopes of finding a termite. Then, you pull the termite out of the ground, fight the termite,
Now we can fight for real.
pick up the termite carcass, throw it in the fire, and then somehow take the cooked termite meat out and give it to the cook. The big frog cook, right there. Only I could never quite figure out exactly what I was supposed to be doing because the meat always disappeared. Each step of the termite barbecue is kind of monotonous, and there are these goddamn spiders wandering around trying to kill you. I was never able to figure out how to cook the termites either, because repeated attempts to put the meat in the fire failed. This quest might have ranked a little higher, but you can partially complete the quest by battling giant frogs to help them train, which is the only saving grace of the experience. Look at that giant fucking shark right there! Why am I wasting my time with termites when I could be getting my ass handed to me by that thing? Yeah, I'm gonna... I'll just leave. Number 6 starts our herding section, where you are forced to corral livestock that has escaped their confines. Almost immediately after entering the Plains of Ashford, you will frequently come across this event that requires you to herd the cows back into the pen. It doesn't take as long as some other herding events because there are usually a bunch of players around who help out, and the cows don't go that far. But staying on task is kind of hard when you're tempted to abandon the stupid beast to go do something more interesting. Right there is another quest that involves defending the armory from Flame Legion troops. Now, what would you rather be doing with your Guild Wars time? Herding cattle or fighting the Flame Legion? Continuing with our herding theme comes some time spent herding giant fucking birds into a pen. This is kind of annoying because the stupid birds will get killed by raptors, and the raptors will interrupt your herding and try to kill you. It was also a little annoying that I had to go up to the bird and use a herd command instead of a whip or some other herding device. Just stick with me for one more herding event that made it onto the list, because whoever thought it would be fun to make us herd animals needed to be beaten with a sock full of frozen oranges. While wandering around the city of Ebonhawk, some children will let a bunch of livestock free. I immediately wished I could murder the little brats, but sadly no. I grabbed a whip and set out to fulfill my destiny of herding livestock through the streets in my underwear. Look how far the stupid animals run before they stop. I think when the guys at ArenaNet decided to do this quest, they thought that there would be lots of players hanging out in Ebon Hawk since it is a city. But it's at the ass end of nowhere, and anybody who is actually around realizes what a waste of time this is and runs the fuck away. The animals even spread out around the city, so if you're short one piece of shit bird, then you have to search the streets until you find the random stupid animal cowering in a corner. This is by far the worst herding event, simply because of the fact that it takes forever, and nobody wants to do it with you. And I don't blame them, because look at it. Look at that. Why would you want to do this? I didn't want to do this, and I've done this a couple times. If you come across this, don't do it. Stay away, ignore it. Whatever poor bastards want to dedicate their time to hurting these animals, let them. Run away. Run away. Now we're done with herding animals, so no more of that, and we're on to trading rocks for our number 3 quest. That's right. In this mission, you actually trade rocks with these big Jotun things to get runestones. You can then trade the runestones for things the Jotuns have and bring them to other Jotuns, or hand in the runestones you've collected. This is incredibly boring, and unless you are a pro at it like me, then you will frequently end up trading your runestones for things that the Jotuns don't want, and you'll have to start the whole process over. There is almost a near tie between numbers 2 and 1, and they are right next to each other, so when you get to the Diasa Plateau, be prepared for some boredom. We decided that the least offensive between the top two was taking care of cows by cleaning them, sitting with them, bowing to them, and then catching bugs and feeding them to cattle. Trying to catch bugs is the worst part. Okay, so I need to catch a Charadis Plains grub in 1 minute. I need to go get this jar, find the damn bug, catch him, and find a fucking cow that will eat him. Not every cow wants a bug, so you may end up trying several cows to get it done, and every step of it is timed. I hate this quest, because even though there are a few ways to actually get any of this done, every one of them makes me want to stop playing. I don't give a shit about these stupid cows, and I wish there was an event where we got to slaughter them and keep some of their meat for cooking. It's the least we can do after I've been forced to do this crap. Which brings us to the worst quest in the game, which is right over the hill from our number 2 pick. If you are wandering through the Diasa Plateau and an event asks for you to teach cows moves, avoid it at all costs. You put on a cow costume and model cow attacks for a herd of cattle. There are 8 things to do, and most of them take a split second. After you complete your task, you have to wait 30 seconds before you move on to the next one. I hope that cow costume isn't very hot, because I would be passing out. Or, I don't know, maybe it's snuggly and I would be taking a nap. What brain-dead idiot at ArenaNet thought this was going to be a fun time? How come nobody play-tested this event and went down the hall and implored the development team to remove it from the game? It's long. It's boring. Having allies doesn't help. There is no skill involved, and it makes me wish I hadn't bought this game. While I'm playing the cow event, there are other players talking about fighting a huge fucking giant that's invading a nearby village. Hold on, guys. I'd love to help, but I have to demonstrate cow behavior to a bunch of cows. After demonstrating a few moves, I eventually have to fight worms and wolves, which might not be bad, except my cow moves are pretty weak, and my character isn't built to stand up in any kind of melee combat, so I suck at it. When the event was finally over, I let myself die, because I had no more will to live, and I desperately wanted to stop playing Guild Wars 2. That's how much I hate this. It made me want to watch my character die and stop playing the game. Somewhere at ArenaNet there is somebody who sucks at his job. Most likely there are a few people, but maybe this was the effects of one idiot with too much power and nobody who would stop him. Maybe he cage fights in his spare time. Or maybe it's actually a woman who looks just like Miley Kunis. Anyway, the rest of the game is awesome. And if you're not going to be playing that other fantasy Memorphica out there, then you should definitely give Guild Wars 2 a try. There are plenty of insanely epic moments. There just also happens to be a few less than stellar sections. I hope you enjoyed watching this video more than I enjoyed playing the sections you stood witness to. Be sure to check out thebestgamesiteever.com for more reviews, features, news, and commentary about gaming, and feel free to like us on Facebook because the internet is lonely and we have poor self-esteem.